About a month ago, I made a video attempting to rank England's plethora of options in the right-back position. It didn't get that many views, but I quite enjoyed making it, so I've decided to repeat the trick with attacking midfielders. England have an embarrassment of riches in the number 10 position these days, but as with right-back, this is far from a long-term trend. If anything, England have historically been found wanting in terms of technically gifted and creative attacking midfield players more than they have done in any other position. At Euro 2016, it was Adam Lallana, Dele Alli and Wayne Rooney who tended to operate in those spaces under Roy Hodgson. Meanwhile, by 2018, Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard were Gareth Southgate's first choice pairing in a sort of hybrid 8-10 role. Most number 10s can also operate either as an 8, out wide on one of the flanks, or even as a centre forward. And there are some players who could play in attacking midfield, like Jude Bellingham or Jared Bowen, who don't do so often enough for me to consider them as attacking midfielders for the purposes of this 7. Without further ado then, here is how I would rank England's 7 best attacking midfielders at this moment in time. Ruben Loftus-Cheek. 7th place was one of the most tightly contested positions in this entire 7, between Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Adam Lallana, Jesse Lingard and Emil Smith-Rowe, among others. I think Adam Lallana is a brilliant footballer, but sadly, he seems to be made out of a hybrid of papier-mâché, glass and meringue. If he can stay fit, I think he can really flourish under Graham Potter, but that's a big if. Lingard showed on his West Ham debut that we ought not forget about him just yet, and if he can return to his 2017-18 heights, he could be a great signing for the Hammers on a permanent basis. And although it is early days, I think we've already seen enough of Emil Smith-Rowe to suggest that he could play a major role in Mikel Arteta's plans going forward. My process of elimination essentially involved leaving Lallana out due to his injury setbacks, Smith-Rowe because he's played so little football, and in a toss-up between Lingard and Loftus-Cheek, I went with who I think is better at football, and that's Ruben Loftus-Cheek. There'll be those who say that Ruben Loftus-Cheek is more of a central midfielder than an attacking midfielder, but whilst I would like to see him in a box-to-box role, he has primarily played further forward during his time on loan at Fulham this season. It's no secret that Loftus-Cheek has all the tools to be a genuine class act and midfield all-rounder. He has brilliant feet, he can beat a man, he's big, athletic, and he can cover plenty of ground. Without injuries, you wonder whether he could have been England's answer to Paul Pogba. Sadly, whether it's an issue of injuries, first-team opportunities, mentality, or most likely a combination of all three, we haven't yet seen Loftus-Cheek come close to reaching his full potential. Nonetheless, I still have faith in his ability, or enough faith, to stick him in 7th at least. Dele Alli. Whilst 7th place was the toughest position to occupy, Dele Alli was without doubt the toughest individual to rank. A few years ago, Ali looked like not just England's best attacking midfielder, but one of the most exciting young players in the world. I can remember being at Wembley at the back end of 2015 when Ali made his England debut against France, and he rifled a long-range right-footed effort into the top corner of his Tottenham teammate Hugo Lloris's goal. For most players, that would have been a stunning debut strike and the highlight of their season, but it just seemed like par for the course for Ali. He hit double figures during his first season at Spurs and followed it up with a whopping 22 goals the following season, still aged only 21. Sadly, now soon to turn 25, Ali seems to have declined season upon season in each of the 4 seasons since, including this current campaign in which he has only made 4 Premier League appearances. Clearly, he is still a talent, and though the evidence may suggest otherwise, I still think he can turn his fortunes around. Having backed John Stones to come good for about 5 years, he finally seems to have done it just as I was starting to lose faith in him. Hopefully Ali can do the same, because boy do Tottenham need a spark from somewhere right now, and he has all the devil and tenacity in him at his best to really thrive under Jose Mourinho. Ross Barkley. Another mercurial talent who has had his fair share of ups and downs, Ross Barkley played largely in central midfield at Chelsea, but he's been operating in a more advanced role under Dean Smith on loan at Aston Villa. Barkley has always been a talent, and a bit like Loftus-Cheek, he has all the tools to become something quite special, but you're just waiting for it all to burst out. Now aged 27, if Barkley is going to really break out and get back into England contention, he'll have to do it now. Since joining Villa on loan at the start of this season, you would have to say, so far, so good for the former Everton man. He bagged a few goals and looked like a real weapon during the early parts of this season, and there was a rugged 6'2" technically gifted hole left in Dean Smith's side when Barkley was out injured. Compared with everyone from Wayne Rooney to Michael Ballack when he first broke through at Goodison Park, I doubt we'll see Barkley hit anything like those heights now, but that doesn't mean he can't still become a key man for a team with top 6 aspirations. In fact, despite the immense competition, I still don't think Barkley will be out of Gareth Southgate's consideration in terms of England selection, as he brings something a little bit different to the three line's other options in midfield. I think he's good value for a spot in 5th, although it will be tough to justify ranking him any higher, and most of you on Twitter seem to agree. Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount is a better number 8 than he is a number 10, and we're seeing him play primarily in central midfield this season. I toyed with the idea of leaving him out on that basis, though he is still clearly capable of playing in attacking midfield. He has done so at least 5 times this season, and I couldn't be bothered with the hassle I'd get in the comments if I left him out altogether. All things considered, it is right that he should feature, and I think his place in 4th is pretty ironclad. Mount has been brilliant for Chelsea this season, during both good times and bad. Industrious and intelligent, Mount is one of the hardest working midfielders in the league, with fantastic stamina, and his movement in the final third ensures that he is a constant threat. Whilst I think Frank Lampard's departure may be good news for a handful of Chelsea players, Mount is perhaps the exception to the rule, given just how much he must have been learning from a man who played that role so expertly for so many years. Though Mount has many strings to his bow, and you could make a case for him being England's best midfield all-rounder, I struggle to see a place for him in England's best 11. And I think there are 3 attacking midfielders, or certainly 2 at least, who you would have to put ahead of him at this moment in time. And here they come. JamesMadison. No, not that one. Yeah. JamesMadison. Whilst almost every other player in this 7 has played in a few different positions this season, JamesMadison is an out-and-out number 10, and a very good one at that. An instant hit upon his arrival at Leicester City from Norwich City, there were times last season when Brendan Rodgers maybe tried to play him a little deeper, but I think we're seeing this season just how much damage he can do when the shackles are taken off him. Madison is brilliant on the ball, he has a sharp eye for a pass, and in terms of shooting from range, I think there are a few better than him in the Premier League. That's a collection of attributes that makes Madison a real menace when it comes to picking up pockets of space, particularly on the edge of the box, and he has already hit double figures in terms of goals and assists from only 16 starts in the Premier League so far this season. England's strength in his position has limited Madison to just 1 cap for the 3 lines to date, but if he maintains his current form, he surely has to be included at least in Gareth Southgate's squad. I think you could have a decent debate in terms of Mason Mount versus JamesMadison as players, but as number 10s, the Fox's primary creative force takes it hands down as far as I'm concerned. Phil Foden. I have made no secret of my excitement surrounding Phil Foden on this channel for a very long time now, nor my view that long term he will be England's most important player, and probably the country's best as well. Not only have I seen little to change my mind over the last 6 to 12 months, if anything, Foden is starting to show signs that he could become better than even I had anticipated. The reason I've always loved Foden since his under-17 days is because of his childish appetite to constantly get on the ball, run at players, and make things happen. All too often we have coached that ability out of players in England, but under Pep Guardiola, Foden has been given the time and space to develop and hone his skills. He is now reaping the rewards, as are Man City, and potentially so too will England in the not too distant future. I don't think it'll be long before Foden is England's best number 10, and already there's little to split the top 2. The 20-year-old has already played in a variety of different positions, and his combination of speed, skill and awareness ought to make him a real weapon for Gareth Southgate wherever he plays him, assuming that he plays him at all. Personally, I think Foden is England's future, and whilst I wouldn't build a team around him, I'd certainly start him, and I would start him in attacking midfield, which I think is his best position. Jack Grealish. The reason I would start Phil Foden in attacking midfield, despite the fact that I think he is very narrowly the second best attacking midfielder at England's disposal at this moment in time, is because Jack Grealish looks just as effective out wide on the left. Of course, in that position, Grealish also has competition from the likes of Raheem Sterling and Marcus Rashford, and it's for that reason that I do not envy Gareth Southgate's selection headaches going forward, and why I think he probably deserves a bit more sympathy in terms of his decisions. You can count on one hand the number of players who have outperformed Jack Grealish in the Premier League this season, and you might still have a couple of fingers left to spare. The 25-year-old has really come of age under Dean Smith, and whilst there has still been the odd antic off the pitch, on it, he has been a consummate professional. Technically speaking, Grealish has always been one of the most naturally gifted players within the English game, and anyone who saw him during his early years at Villa, or even on loan at Notts County, has been well aware of that. The difference under Dean Smith has been in terms of Grealish's leadership, his consistency, and his productivity in the final third. Already this season, Grealish has made 16 goal contributions from 21 appearances in the Premier League, despite not taking penalties. That's a phenomenal output, and Grealish is playing like a man with the world at his feet. He is a joy to watch at this moment in time, a special talent with the final ball to match, so I think he deserves to take top spot, though it is only a matter of time before Phil Foden overtakes him, barring an awful injury or some catastrophic off-field event. So those are my top 7, and the order with which I would rank them, though I don't doubt some of you will disagree. The likes of Adam Lallana, Jesse Lingard, Angel Gomez, Emil Smith-Rowe, Joe Willock, and even Bradley Dack all made my shortlist, and I'd love to know how you would rank England's options in that position in the comments. Personally, I found the attacking midfielders a little easier to rank than England's right-back options. One thing we can surely all agree on is that England's fortunes in that position have improved greatly in recent years, and they now have at least the depth, if not arguably also the quality, to rival the likes of Spain, Germany, Belgium, Brazil, France, and Argentina in that position. So that is it for today's video, but thank you all as ever for watching. Please do give us a like if you enjoyed the video, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for HITC Sevens. You can also find me on Twitter or Instagram by the username @HITC Sevens should you feel so inclined.